Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the first assignment video for Girls Love Tech. Today we're going to be building Libs. Hopefully you know the game. It's pretty simple. It's just entering some words and then we can fill it into some pre-prepared text. And yeah, let's get started. So I created a folder for all my GLT assignments here. And I'm just going to create a new folder inside here for Libs. So once we have that done, we can open up Visual Studio Code or whatever you want to use to edit your code. And then just go File, Open, and just navigate to where your folder is. So mine's on the desktop, so I'm going to pull that up right quick. Great, so now we have our workspace open. So all we have to do is New File. So right click New File, and any Python project has to end with .py. Hopefully you already made a few, but alright, so I'm going to name this madlib.py. Simple name, and you know, it's always good when you first create a Python file or script that you just write some information at the top as a comment. Just, you know, it doesn't have to be like a whole manuscript or anything. Just enough so that when you look back on it in 2 or 3 years, you know what you've done in this file. So I'm just going to write my name. I'm going to write the date. So today's the 4th. And I will, you know, just write a brief project description. So first project for GLT, type words when prompted, and a full text using your input will be generated. It's good enough. So let's start. You know, it's always good, you know, just to test how your build stuff is working. So just print hello for now and make sure the output works. So it should print hello, and it did. So you'll notice I have some extra stuff here. This is something, don't worry about that. It's just something I've been messing with my computer and I can't undo it now. This is what's actually running your code. If I can, it's not the full thing, but all right, let's clear this and then we'll run it again. There we go. So there's two parts to this. There's your Python 3 location, and then there's your actual file location. So in order to run a program on any computer, you have to know what program you're running. So we're running the Python 3 program. And then now we feed it some arguments. So Python 3, if you feed it a file name, it'll run that file as a Python script. So that's all you really need to worry about for the terminal. Other than that, you know, you can Google as you go. So it printed out hello, which means, you know, our run button's working and we can get started with the rest of the project. So first thing in the assignment is we have to print like some introduction. So let's pull it up and we can copy and paste. Be a little bit more creative with yours, but I'm just being a little lazy for time's sake. So let's print, and in quotes, we will do that. Quotes means that it'll actually print the letters instead of trying to interpret it as Python code. And that's the first line. We'll write the second line. There we go. And write the third line. Is that one line or 2 lines? Let's treat it as 1 line. Right. Okay, it's fine if it goes over the edge of the screen. If you shift and scroll, it'll scroll sideways for you, so that might be useful for you. Yeah. Let's run what we have. We should make sure that we're running the same thing. And all right, so this is what I have written in the print statement, so that looks like it's working. But one thing is, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between, you know, the actual this stuff and the actual program. So I think I'm gonna put in some empty print statements. Empty print statements, just to separate the actual code from, sorry, the output from that actual code, or from the other administrative stuff in the terminal. So run that, and there we go. Now we've separated with 2 lines using 2 extra print statements. All right, so we have our basic program setup done, but without any input. It's kind of just a boring program. So we will add a little bit more stuff to get our nouns, adverbs, verbs, stuff that you need to make the actual Mad Lib. So if you remember, to get some user input from the terminal, we would need a variable name. So maybe noun1 equals input, and then inside of here, inside of quotes, you put like the prompt for what you want to say, and then you can type your word, and then it'll save it to noun1. So I will do please enter something, just to demonstrate. And I will run, and there we go. Please enter something, and let's say something, and there we go. It doesn't really do anything because we haven't told it to do anything with the output, so let's print the output. So what should happen, if we think about it, right, is we enter something, and then all that should happen is a new line, something, will be printed, and then this Mad Libs $ will show up again. So something, there we go, just as expected. So it looks like our input is working. So now it's just a matter of getting all of our inputs that are necessary for our Mad Libs. So with some editing magic, you're gonna see all of them appear now. Location 2, input, enter a place in you. Whoops. Please enter a proper noun. Alright, so I have all my, getting all my necessary words for the ad-lib, and just to check that we have them all, we can print them all. So noun 1, location 2, location 3, adverb 4, noun 5, adjective 6, verb 7, adjective 8. Right, so maybe you haven't seen this before, but if you have a print statement and multiple variables separated by commas, it'll just assume that you want a space in between the actual value of the variables. So you'll see it here. So I'll just do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. That should be everything, and there, it printed out everything with spaces in between. So this is good for testing. You'll see it a lot or you might use it a lot actually in testing code in the future. So now that we have that part done, we have about half the Mad Lib done, and the second half is actually writing everything. Let's move our extra print statements down a bit because they should be at the end of the program, and then we'll just have a single line separating this. And there we go. Run it to double check. So there we go, 2 lines, single line. And then if you're running a program and you want to stop it, you can hit Control C. Another issue that you might run into actually is if you run and then while it's running you hit run again, it'll actually type this in instead of doing it. So it won't restart the program is what I'm trying to say. So Control C to stop it, and then you can run it. All right. Okay, so let's have lines separating, and then we will, write out our actual Mad Lib. So the first line of the example, it's, there's nothing, or I guess there's here. So we can write out what kind of day it is. So print, actually wait, this is at the end. So I think it's just, it was a beautiful day in New York City. So we'll just do print, print, it was a beautiful day in New York City. City. Right? So that's the first line. The second line is a little bit more complicated. We have our hero, Ariana Grande, which comes from here, was on a walk from Times Square to the Empire State Building, and then we go back to Ariana Grande. Pranced, I think it comes from here. Right, so it's mixing and matching all these words that we chose before, and we have to integrate this into, a good-looking sentence. So we'll use adding strings to do that. So if you add 2 strings or 2 like quotes, like 2, if you add 2 strings together, it'll put the second string at the end of the first string. So using a little bit of, getting a little creative with it, we can actually, write our entire thing as a proper sentence with good grammar. So it was our hero, comma, space. So our hero, comma, space, and plus, and then we will have our noun 1, and then a comma, space, was on a walk from Times Square. So we'll just do that. Was on a walk from, I think Times Square is a word here, so we'll stop it there, and we'll double check that that's actually what's printing. What's printing is what we're expecting. So and then for the rest of these, we can just, there we go. Notice we had to specify the actual spaces and everything, unlike we had to do when we were just printing all of these out separated by commas. That's because when you separate it out by commas, it adds a space automatically, but if you're doing the plus, you have to specify where all the spaces are. Alright, so now we just continue all our work. So was on a walk from Times Square, so that would be plus location 2 plus space 2 and then plus location 3 plus blah blah blah. Oh, whoops. What else is here? To the Empire State Building, period. Then the name again. So plus noun 1. Pranced, which is the verb. So plus space plus verb 7 plus, I think it's in past tense here, and then it's here, so I guess we can just do just add a D at the end. It's not the cleanest solution, but plus verb 7 plus D pranced rather and I think quickly was, yeah, adverb. So plus adverb 4 quickly because he lived in beautiful New York for lived in, and then plus adjective 8. Beautiful New York for only a few months. So that's all just common words. So in beautiful New York for only a few months. Yeah. I think that's the end of the second sentence, right? So it's a pretty long one. Whoops, I'm losing my place. Here we are. Yeah, so it's a pretty long one. Let's just run it to make sure that it works. So Ariana Grande, what was it? Times Square to the Empire State Building. Adverb was quickly, donut, slimy, prance, beautiful. There we go. It was a beautiful day in New York City. Our hero, Ariana Grande, was on a walk from Times Square to the Empire State Building. Ariana Grande, oh, I spelled it wrong, pranced rather quickly because he or she lived in beautiful New York for only a few months. There we go. So now our third and final statement. So it should just be, suddenly a slimy donut appeared out of nowhere. So I think slimy, donut, and then I think that's everything in that sentence. So print suddenly a and then slimy is adjective 6 plus space plus donut, which is noun 5, and then just appeared out of nowhere. We can copy and paste that. Oh, okay, I guess it's hard to plus appeared out of nowhere, and then 3 exclamation points. There we go. Let's save this, run it, and we should, if we type everything correctly this time, get exactly what we were hoping. So I think it was Times Square, then the Empire State Building. Adverb was quickly, donut, slimy, prance this time, beautiful. And there we go. We have our entire Mad Lib written out. You'll notice if sometimes the words will get cut off the end. That's just because, you know, your terminal is a little short. It'll fix itself if, you know, grow it or shrink it. But that's fine. There's ways around it, but I think that's a little beyond the scope of what you can do right now. So now's about the time where you show your friends, family, mom, dad, sister, brother, goldfish. You know, just tell them to try it out and show them that, hey, you just made your first super cool Python project. So at this point, you might want to have some modifications to it. This was a very simple text. There wasn't, you know, any difficult characters or anything. So just to show you that it's possible, you can put in weird characters and it should still print properly. So as long as you can type it with the keyboard in general, you can, you know, print it out with Python. So let's run this. Doesn't really matter, just want to see H. There we go, and it prints all of them. Doesn't really have any trouble. It'll run into trouble with certain characters, but that's like if you don't have a language installed. But you know, don't worry about that. If you can type it with your keyboard, it'll show up properly. Okay, Another thing you might want is quotes. Yeah, that's important. So if you want quotes in a in a string, you can't just put it like that. Otherwise, Python will think that this is the string, this is some Python code, and then you're starting a string here and you never actually end it, and then it just messes up the whole, what's a string, what's not a string. So, whoops. If you want to type a quote, instead you would use a backslash. So it turns a different color because this is like an escape sequence. It's if you have a backslash before any character or before a special character, there's like a list of these. You can Google it, you can find out. But if you have a backslash before it, it does something. So in the case of double quotes, if you have backslash and double quotes, it'll actually show up double quotes. So let's put double quotes around New York City. So New York City, I guess the period should go after the, I think it goes after, yeah. There we go. Yep, and then A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. And there we go, we have our quotes printed out. Single quotes, I don't think we'll have the same issue. You can try it out here. Yeah, so single quotes seem to work. Yep, and if you want, yeah, I think that should be good enough. And yeah, that's all I have to share with you guys today. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. And yeah, hopefully you, extend this out. Hopefully you're getting creative with this instead of just copying from the example like I was doing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys create. All right, thank you.